Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak to small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back. Big news from Bernard Tourillon, Chairman CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources, trades in Canada under HPQ. For our friends in the US, HPQFF. For those new to the story, we know there are a lot of OG investors, and we know you guys have heard the intro before, but for everybody new, here's the condensed version and all you need to know. HPQ is a Canadian producer of innovative silicon solutions. They're building a portfolio of unique, high-value, specialty silicon products needed for the coming renewable energy revolution. More than just lip service, because a lot of companies are trying to say that same kind of thing in different ways. They already received their first order for their spherical nano silicon materials from a major automobile manufacturer. They've got NDA signed with a number of battery players. And today, the press release is HPQ Silicon signs NDA and receives request for 4N silicon material samples from a world-leading high-performance materials company. Bernard, welcome back, my friend. Thanks for the surprise today.
Thank you.
All right, so before the details, because we got some details to discuss, and that's going to be a little handcuffed because you're on the NDA, but we're going to try our best. But before that, how important is this announcement from a visibility point of view? What should it be telling your investors?
Well, in a very funny way, the regular updates we issue is what is attracting people to come and talk to us. And it validates the point of what we do is unique. Right? What we're trying to do is unique. We're the only one doing this in the sense of developing a new process to convert quartz into silicon metal, Si, and then add value to that material. So, I know that, sometimes people say, oh, no, those are wasted time press releases. They're not wasted time. The visibility I get from the industry, from these press releases in this day and age of instant communication, you'd be very, very surprised. And today, the signature, the announcement about the signature just started longer ago, is just a demonstration of this. So when we issue these press releases, these updates, these what some FUD agent call, fluff press release, that's how we create interest in what we're doing, because we're demonstrating that we are advancing in our project. Okay. Might look for some investor with advancing.
There's a reason why you're putting out some of those, what we think are mundane press releases, but this is the end result.
Yes. Because what's going to happen is people are going to read this and somebody else in the industry is going to say, wait a minute, who's this guy? Where does this come from? Because there's so many now bots that retakes these press releases that end up getting people doing research. That's how you find material. So that's sort of like, that's a two-way marketing. I keep my shareholder updated of why we're advancing, okay? It might look to shareholders like we're advancing at snail pace, but we're advancing methodically forward. But B, it dissipates in the community at large what we are doing. And since what we are doing is so unique, it does, there's a few people says, light bulb, what are these guys doing? And then we start conversation. So, this is not, it's not done in 24 hours.
So you have a quote that says, we were approached by a representative of the high performance material company seeking samples of our 4N silicon material to test as feedstock to make silicon nitride ceramics. Is that how they found you? So when you say we're approached, can you tell us a little bit about how they did find you? Maybe it was from an industry connection, or maybe it was from your press releases. How did they find you?
I get an email on my inbox. Then we start conversation and you realize, oh, these guys are, then you end up having a Zoom meeting with all these people. We can't travel everywhere around the world. And then you start discussing and you realize, I'm going to say this, I have a pretty good, piff to smell out what doesn't make sense and does make sense, right? We know that there's a market for 4N application, okay? We knew that making silicon nitride ceramic, it was a feedstock. So it didn't come out of the blue. And once you get down to the NDA and how the other party is serious, and you start knowing what type of partner you're dealing with. So this is how, without spending a lot of people, how HPQ with, a small staff can have a very big visibility.
What can you tell us, if anything, about the size of this? I'm going to quote world leading high performance materials company. Can you tell us anything about their size, geographical reach, or anything? Is there to kind of give us an idea of the profile without getting into detail?
I think in a way to putting it, they're probably, as a corporation size, bigger size than the automobile manufacturer.
Okay, and that's saying something. All right, that's fair enough. That's great, because personally, I don't know what a world leading high performance materials company might be.
I didn't know where that criteria. I did not know that what we're doing is part of the feedstock to do this material. But I kept saying, silicone SI is one of those sandwich material in so many things that you'd be amazed.
So let's talk about what the use is. I'm reading from the press release. 4N silicon material will be tested for uses as potential feedstock for the manufacture of silicon nitride ceramics. First of all, why do they need 4N silicon material from HPQ? Is it the quality because they've never been able to get their hands on 4N? Is it the price? What is it that made them pick up the phone and say, or in this case, email, say we need to speak to HPQ?
As I've been, educating investors for a long time, and maybe repeating myself for the old timers, well, I'll do this for the new one. Okay, the silicone industry, the SI industry, is sort of a weird business in the sense that the traditional player, which control the industry all over the world, okay, the maximum purity they can do in their first material is 2N. Okay, that's pushing their system to the maximum. And I've explained it in another part of the presentation, so I won't repeat myself here. But there are applications that need higher purity material, okay? But the issue is we make 2N that's then used as feedstock to make solar grade silicon, polysilicon, electronic grade silicon. So it goes to 6N, 7N, 8N. But at one point it gets to be too high value. So there are some small entities out there, okay, that do purify on small batches, okay, 2N silicone up to 4N, which can then be used for those high applications. So they're high in value. Now, this is a product, silicon nitride ceramics, that could be, if it could be manufactured cheaper, could have a much wider commercial imprint. The same thing as what we said about nano silicone for batteries, okay? So since we control the feedstock part, and since, lo and behold, by default, according to theories, we will produce as feeds as output directly from our reactor 4N material without doing anything special. So we already have an advantage in that regard. So people that are looking for needing for that material are going to say, well, do I choose XYZ, which goes through 6 steps, or do I choose one that does the 1 step? So just to put this in a bit of perspective, you remember we had this discussion where I had this discussion with a company and I threw them a price that I thought was expensive.
And I was about to ask you, what would be the, okay, go ahead. I mean, we all remember that.
These are the guys.
Ah, okay.
So
you gave us a little bit of foreshadowing.
This is what happened. These are, everything is so, when you're dealing with what we're doing, okay, it is all long lead time. So that's one of the main reasons why HPQ as a company, I like to have multiple verticalities, because I'm hoping that eventually my lead times don't basically, are not parallel and in sync, but they're desynchronized. So once one target is reached, this could, the other company have another target. So this is the good news for me, is because it allows me to bring back the concept that the QRR, we're going to be starting that pilot plant end of this quarter. And then there is application, okay? And when we look at a potential market, we do a back of the envelope, rough order of magnitude, financial calculation of what this could be worth to us. And if it fits into our criteria of being extremely profitable and supporting, we said, okay, that's cool. And you have to realize that the QRR is going to be online at the same time as the price of the 2N material has gone through the roof. I'm reading prediction from Ferro Globe, which they're mentioning probably $5,000 to $6,000 a ton. That is astronomy.
For 2N?
For two, basically, I'm not even sure if it's 2N or 1N.
So perfect storm for HPQ Silicon right now.
Yesterday, I heard the head guy of commodities at, I think it's one of the big banks in the US, JP Morgan, one of those guys. He said, I've never seen this in my entire career. Name the material, we're out of it. Name it.
So these press releases and everything you're doing as far as outreach for the world to find out, it's getting more attention. There are a lot more people who are searching right now for solutions.
George, we had this discussion because we're jealous because they didn't put in Agoracom. But, you know, me and my video guy, IT guy, we did a small introduction videos about what is HPQ. We plugged it low key, and I think it went live last Friday. Okay. We already got 1,000 views on it. I didn't push it down my my communication line. So that was, you know, most.
You even pushed it to me for.
I didn't push it through you.
So,
well, because it was higher production quality, I didn't want you to feel bad, but that's okay.
But the so the application we know is to make silicon nitride ceramics. Not that me or probably very many people know, you know, what that is exactly. But do you know? Okay, so it's feedstock to make silicon nitride ceramics, which obviously is for some kind of application or applications. So. Do you know what those applications are? You may not be able to tell us, but I got to ask.
Yeah,
and if so, and this is successful, you know, how much 4N would they need? Because I'm trying to figure out, is this, you know, a very limited application, or is there some decent volume behind this application? Do you know?
Right now, I've been working in this business for a long time. You know, this does not come out of the blue for us. Okay. I knew for a long time that silicon nitride was one of the potential market for 4N. It was discussed when we discussed in 2018 with the guys at Apple Solar, and we were talking about this. It was mentioned to be a small market for specific niche application. But what I'm starting to get, and if you read one of the sentences in the press release, we're now in 2020, and it says silicon nitride manufacturers are seeking ways to reduce power processing costs to speed adoption of this remarkable material. Now, does not that sound a bit like what the battery manufacturers are saying about silicon in their battery?
Sounds a lot like it.
Exactly. So that's exactly what's happening. It is. It's funny because I was having a discussion.
And they call it this remarkable material. So obviously, you know, to me, that signals that this material, they've got big plans for it.
When you install a wind turbine, okay, you don't want to change the ball bearing on a regular basis. So you got to make sure your ball bearing lasts the life cycle of the wind turbine. Well, the best ball bearings for those metal at seas are the ones made with nitride ceramics. That's why they're so expensive, part of the process. So my hunch, my feeling, okay, is as we reduce the cost of making the material, okay, application will grow and will expand. It's a bit like the battery space right now, okay? Everybody's talking about the massive demand for silicon and batteries, but right now the demand is not very big, but everybody foresees the future demand. So I foresee it's going to be the same thing as we get all our process working. I think this one might actually work better because as we increase our capacity to make material, you know, demand will keep increasing. But it's just another verticalities within the verticalities of the QRR.
When do you expect to start sending samples? So the reactor is the QRR is gonna fire itself up at the end of the quarter. So we're, I don't know, 7 weeks away, 7 weeks away, call it, from until, and that's at the end. I have no idea if it's gonna be 6 or 5, but I'm using the end of the quarter.
George, I am not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Well, I'm not asking for a precise date, but ballpark. When might you be ready? Ballpark.
George, my ballpark. I've missed my ballpark by freaking like truck slow. So it's like I'm realistic. The thing is.
But we're there now, so we have visibility. We know that
the thing is, I'm very optimistic. Okay, basically there's no reason. I think I called 5-time power to verify this, that we're starting end of Q1.
Yeah, it's in the press release.
Yeah, it's in the press release. You know, they vouch for it. We talked about it. We discussed. I know where the process is. So I feel very comfortable about this one, and I know what we need to do to that material to meet the criteria, because it's not what comes out of our forend. We have to do a little bit of work on it. But I'm not worried about that, because I have discussion on how we're going to reach that goal. So it's all part of the process. I may sound like a weasel, not trying to give an answer, but
No.
But the key point is, I can't give an answer, but I feel pretty confident it's close by. I'd like to get this, you know, moving forward. I want the QRR to start producing. So
if the QRR is on time, you have no reason to think it's not, because you said you've called.
No,
but soon after that, it should start. You should be capable to start sending out samples.
Yeah, because the quantity of material we're talking in the beginning is so small that it's, you know, it's like even if the system works like in a small amount of time, as long as it produces forend material, then I'm good, and then we can start. If we do higher purity, then it'll be even better. We'll see.
What can you tell us, if anything, about the other side? So, you know, George Com, High Specialty Materials Company, receives the material. Do you have any sense, and maybe you don't, but again, I've got to ask, because I can almost feel like shareholders would be thinking the same thing. Do you have any sense for what their testing time be like? Is it something that they take weeks, months? Do you have any? Do you guys discuss that at all?
No, right now my discussion is, I've been sort of like very surprised how for this type of thing, how fast it's moving, how much, you know, demand, when can you guys deliver? You know, we'll send them, and that, but it's not going to end there, because once we start making forend, then we're going to be able to advertise and says, okay, we have this material, and then, you know, there's more than one manufacturer of this material. It's just they were the first one to come and talk to us.
Yeah, but I would presume, logically speaking, given the conversation we had a few minutes ago, that when that day comes, you said, hey, we started shipping samples to this world-leading high-performance materials company, that more companies are going to pick up that news, and it's probably going to be exponentially more phone calls at that point, because at that point,
probably
it's play ball.
Probably at that time, you know, Bernard's phone might be ringing off.
And you've always said that, by the way, because for last year at least, I know a lot of investors have heard me ask this, where I said, "What's your plan? What's your plan to get?" It's one thing to have the material, and you always said, "George, they're going to come to us. They're going to call us," and you almost knew it. So I wonder if this is just a small example of this. Let me ask you another question. Something we talked about a long time ago, but do you start thinking now about offtake agreements? So if there's some success here, do you start thinking, hey, let's lock down some quantities here and sign offtake agreements?
No, I'm very, 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 very cautious about offtake agreement. I've studied the failure of the so many resource to tech stories, and it always can be linked back to the offtake agreement done to please the mermaids of Bay Street. Yeah, it's the song of the mermaid. You know, if you talk to a Bay Street guy, he's going to tell you, "Oh, I can give you money. Get an offtake agreement with a big boy." What happens is the big boys do check everything that's been written. Okay. And if they see a technology that's dangerous for them, they'll try to negotiate an offtake agreement so they can block your process development. That's just the key part. That's one of the other reasons why I'm not mentioning the name of the people. This one doesn't work, there'll be another one. I'm not gonna like go to bed right now, because if you have a game-changing technology, there's two things gonna happen. Somebody's gonna either try to steal it from you, or make sure you don't develop it so that it doesn't go forward. And one of the ways that's been done, if you look at the failures of what people call the Quebec-ing errors, okay, that's been that. RGX, that was it. They signed with PPP to test their material. Once that was done, project died. Then they get a new CEO, tests the technology, likes it, takes it away from the shareholders. Namaska.
We know where you live, so don't even try that. But go on. And then there's Namaska, right? I guess Namaska is
Namaska is an even more interesting story for me personally, because I think it was in 2015 or 16. I was in Toronto, you know, when we were still doing conferences, and was in the green tech conferences. And the president of Damascus was there bragging about how the fact that he got this big financing from SDDC because he had an offtake agreement with this great company. You know what? That offtake agreement, that discussion was the seed of the failure eventually of Damascus. Because if you sign an offtake agreement when you're at the beginning of a process and you're just doing those things, and you don't know all the costs, and then the prices fluctuate and you can't manage the profit, all your financial numbers change, and you have covenant when you start having barter, because these guys can advance money under tight covenant. Okay, I had an unsecured loan with the Quebec government, still had loan, it still had covenant. I couldn't even increase my staff. So, that's paid off and everything else. So it's going to be under my term to the benefit of the shareholders, aka I'm a large shareholder, so it's going to be to my benefit and pyrogenesis. And the way we're structured, we're okay. I look at market where the spot price, the spot market, what we're doing, is sufficiently big enough for me to start selling my production at the beginning. So I don't need an offtake agreement. So that's what really makes it exciting. And the timing couldn't be better just because the price of the raw material, the silicon Si 2N, 1N is going through the roof. And you don't turn in new production overnight.
Well, the fact that you're willing to forego that temptation so strongly, you're not even considering
I have told government finance, if you ask me for an offtake agreement, I'll walk away. At one point when I fully control my costing structure, my cost, where we are in the development, if it makes sense to us, okay. Remember, the earlier you take your offtake agreement, the advantage is to the guy that takes it. The later you take it, it's to your advantage. So you have to be patient.
But clearly that's a sign of confidence. I take that.
Yeah.
That you're so confident that you're not rushing to try and ask either the major automobile manufacturer or the specialty materials company about offtake agreements.
No, because I know them. They would try to negotiate you 10 times under the table even before you start. And what happens when you start those negotiations is you get so excited about closing the deal, and then they keep and they get you in and they try to wheel you in to take a bad deal. They wheel you in to take a bad deal.
Sure.
I'm saying, no, I'm not interested. And then they come to me. I want your stuff. Okay, send me my stuff. No strings attached. Right.
Anything else? Look, because this is an NDA, so we're limited as to what you can say. So, and I've obviously tried to push the envelope. Before we sign off, how happy are you guys in Pyro of this development? Not specifically because you think this is going to make the company rich or something like that, but how happy are you guys about this development that a world-leading high-performance materials company, keep reading that, which we now know is bigger than the automobile manufacturer that already placed their first order for spherical nano silicon material. How happy, and you guys have great poker faces, but I'm going to keep asking, how happy are you guys with this development?
How happy should I be? It's the plan is coming together. I should be like the commander on the A-team. I love it when a plan comes together. It never starts the way you expect it, but it's going in the right direction.
Hey, you finally got a movie quote right, because you couldn't get slow as smooth as fast, right, to save your life. But you finally got the A-team.
Hey, I got it correctly when I wrote it on paper.
But all kidding aside, you guys pretty happy, or you're playing close to the chest, keep your poker face on?
We are happy because, well, I'm not going to say this. I think I alluded to this. Now, when we do rough order of magnitude, we look at every one of our verticalities. And I think I mentioned this when we were starting to talk about the fumed silicon. And I said, we look at the verticalities, and at that point, our market cap was much higher. I said, every one of our verticalities can support our market price then. Well, what I like now is that the QRR alone was a profitable business, but it never really was a big one in regard to supporting the added value. Now with the price of where it is. Then you add to this the high purity material, and it's even stronger. Then you add the material for batteries. That's not going away. Definitely not going away. It's moving forward. Tests are being done every week, so there's advancement being done. And you got the fumed silica coming online.
Anything we've missed from this I should be asking, or anything you want investors to know before we sign off about this press release specifically, or last thoughts then?
Nah. Anyway, if people have questions, they can write on Agora.com, or they can write stupid comments on other websites. Don't really care.
Yeah, let's have good questions on Agora.com. Because hey, and by the way, we have some incredibly intelligent shareholders, investors out there. So I'm sure you're going to see some pretty great questions.
Well, I will say one thing. I've actually sometimes learned things from people that post, and I follow through it.
Sure.
Oh, that's interesting. And I follow down the rabbit hole where that leads to. So it's like it's part of the process. I cannot know everything, but I think as a company with a small management team, we've done pretty well advancing the project very forward. I think we've took some. As a board and as a team, we've took some very intelligent decision, which is, farming out our R&D, or technology development through pyrogenesis, because that gives us much more depth than we would ever have. And eventually, as we start growing our own team, because at one point, we have to take over from pyro and just operate these things, and they'll be coming online too. So there's a lot of fun challenges coming online. It's only February.
All right, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Again, another great press release today. I think I speak on behalf of all shareholders, say we're happy, nice development. And the best piece that I got is to find out that this company is even bigger than the automobile manufacturer. Hopefully one day we'll know the names of these companies. And at some
as long
point,
as we get their money, I don't
start a
care.
contest on Agoracom, which is name the automobile manufacturer and name the specialty materials company, and see if anybody can get one or both of them right. I guess we'll save that for another day. But congratulations to you, to Pyro, and the whole team, Bernard.
Thank you.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Bernard Tourillon, Chairman, CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources, trades in Canada under HPQ, and for our friends in the US, HPQFF. Time to do your due diligence. For those of you who are new, get the company's profile page in Agoracom to get that 1,000-foot overview, because this is a highly disruptive company with a lot of moving parts. So we've tried our best to lay it out there for you in a way to make it understandable. But then to do your deep dive due diligence, hop on over to the HPQ Silicon website and hopefully discover your next amazing small cap company. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.